What's happening, everybody? Matt here, but you can call me Matub, and I am here with Commander-in-Chief Brian. I'm sorry, I can't take that seriously, Brian. So go ahead, Brian, give your little spiel there.
All right, I am not the self-proclaimed, but the Commander-in-Chief at PackToTheFuture.com.
And today we have a special treat for you. If you are a regular listener of the podcast, the guys over there will do something called the coin flip, where they'll come up with an idea and flip a coin that decides what side of the argument you are on, and then you debate the other person, and we see how it goes. Brian and I are going to start with a video version of it, and our topic of today, Brian, I'll actually let you explain it. You're a little bit better at it than I am.
All right, we are going to be debating who is more likely to play as a Green Bay Packer again, cornerback Sam Shields or running back Eddie Lacy.
And so, Brian, since you are the guest, even though you're the commander, I'm going to flip the coin to decide what side you're on.
All right.
So let's say heads, you think Sam Shields is more likely, and tails, you think Eddie Lacy is more likely. Sound good?
All right. Sounds good.
Okay. So I have a coin flip app with an NFL background. Let's see how this goes. And the coin is up, and it is heads. So you are arguing for Sam Shields. My phone made the ESPN noise when I flipped the coin. That was crazy.
Fitting.
Okay.
All right. So my main argument for Sam Shields.
Hang on. We're gonna go official here. I'm gonna give you 60 seconds on the clock to do your best, and then I'm gonna do 60 seconds to explain why you're wrong and Eddie Lacy is the best.
Listeners of Pack to the Future will know that it is not this regulated.
Well,
so I'm used to the wild, wild west, so I beg your forgiveness.
Let's try it regulated. Let's see how it goes here. Okay, so
let's give it a shot.
Everyone at home will see I'm going to start a timer on my phone, and there will actually be one on the screen for them too. All right, ready? In 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, my main argument for Sam Shields is Eddie Lacy. Eddie Lacy dealing with yet another injury. Eddie Lacy putting on all the weight that he had taken off. He'd worked so hard, lost 20, 30 pounds. He's back up to that 250 range, and that's not good. I see no way that we even want to bring him back after that. The trust must be broken. And, for Sam Shields, there's all the talk of multiple concussions at this point, and I get that, and it is entirely possible that he would want to retire if these concussions won't slow down. But he's given no such talk. In fact, he's given the opposite. Nothing but I want to come back. I'm hungry to come back. He's still pretty young at 28 years old and still a premier cornerback in this league. I think we'll see him later on this season. Even he'll come back as the designated to return player because this secondary is desperate. So if he's ready to go, Mike will have him.
Oh, that was
such timing.
Spot on. Oh man, he had some good points. All right, let me see if I can do this. I'm gonna start my timer in 3, 2, 1, and go. Now you bring up the interesting point with thinking that you'll see Sam Shields again later on this season. I tend to disagree. I think that his most recent concussion, with each consecutive concussion that he gets, the symptoms are lasting longer and longer and longer. And at this point now, when you have a concussion that sidelines you for at least half the season, you got to think about your future. And Sam Shields is an intelligent person. He went to the U. He's no dummy. He understands that there has to be life after football. I think that he will actually either retire mid-season or at the end of the season. I actually truly believe that, not just coin flip believe that. And Eddie Lacy, I honestly think that it's not a question of his weight, it's a question of his conditioning. And this year, even though he lost the weight in the offseason, you saw he showed up to camp even heavier than he was showing in the offseason, but he still played phenomenally. And yeah, ankle injuries are going to happen when you're a running back, but I see Eddie Lacy coming in as a cheap free agent, and Ted will re-sign his guys. I spent more time defending than I did attacking. So I don't know. What do you? I would say my critiques of yours is literally just I think Shields is going to take his concussions really seriously.
Mm-hmm. Well, I mean, the best case scenario for Eddie Lacy is going to be a long-term contract. That's not going to happen in Green Bay. If it doesn't happen anywhere else, I could very well see a Nick Perry situation where Eddie Lacy signs a 1-year deal with Green Bay. But again, it's just attitude. And I know the Packers would rather have Sam Shields back than Eddie Lacy later this season.
Absolutely.
I think Niall Davis is a much better replacement for Eddie Lacy than Ladarius Gunter is for Sam Shields. And they're going to be desperate to get Shields back if he'll come. And again, it's his attitude. All the things that he said have led me to believe that there's no way he's ready to call it quits.
Yeah, that's fair. I think Sam does have a good drive, but I do think that at some point someone's going to be grabbing at his ear and saying like, "Hey man, like you gotta think about your future here." I mean, his what was that concussion that he got? Where didn't he just like fall on the sideline at one point, and that gave him a concussion?
Didn't seem like much, and yeah, I mean that's clearly the argument against Sam Shields is if he can't handle minor hits to the head anymore, then you can't play football that way. And
right.
You know, I mean, rather have him for 2 games out of the year out of 0, I guess, but you know, neither of those is an ideal situation. You know, I kind of hope for his own sake, very unselfishly, that he calls it quits, but I just don't see it.
Yeah, absolutely. And as for Eddie, actually, I had this conversation with someone in July, I think it was. I said that if Eddie rushes for 700 yards, we will never see him again. And if Eddie rushes for 1,400 yards, we will never see him again. But somewhere in between the two, and he's going to get locked up as a Packer for a while. Granted, that was before I thought that he was going to get injured. But I figured if Eddie came out as 1,000 yards from scrimmage back, that Ted would at least give him 2 or 3 years.
Yeah, and that's kind of what I was thinking as well, was, you know, if he's going to come out and gain all the weight back and really struggle, then there's no way we're going to touch that. Or if he comes out and dominates, he's going to get a big fat contract that we're not going to touch either. But now the injury comes in. He was playing well beforehand. I'm not sure what kind of yardage he was on pace for, but like he looked like that bruising, you know, hit the circle button for the spin move kind of running back again. And even at the weight, like you mentioned, he still had that power in that drive. He was hitting the lanes. He was hurdling cowboys. It was great, but now we have no idea. And that leads me to believe that, again, if he's going to come back, it's going to be on a 1-year deal, kind of, you know, 5-6 million, prove it to the rest of the league that you can do it kind of deal.
I can't wrap my head around those numbers. Yeah, here's 5 million, prove that you're worth it.
I know.
But guys, we're getting a little too chummy. We're supposed to be arguing here. Packer Nation out there watching, you decide who you think is going to be in a Packer uniform before the other, whether it is Sam Shields or Eddie Lacy. Leave a comment below. Hit us up on the website, on Twitter. Shoot us an email, something like that. You can find me on Twitter at CallMeMatub. And Brian, you are?
At PTTF_Brian.
All right, so you can argue with either of us or try and get us to argue with each other. We're usually doing that on Twitter anyway.
Exactly.
Well, guys, I think that'll do it for our first ever video edition of the Coin Flip. Brian, you can give yourself a sign-off.
Man, I haven't thought about a sign-off. I guess just visit packtothefuture.com, follow me on Twitter, and agree with me.
Now, or you can agree with me because this is my show and I should win. All right, guys. As always, I'm Matt.
Chief.
Yeah, the chief. But as always, I'm Matt. But you can call me Matub, and you have a great day.